Good morning. My name is Skip Polson, and I'm the acting chairperson for the Chapel Hill-Carrboro Peacemaking Scholarship Program. And I know most of you are aware that this program is a totally voluntary and nonprofit operation that was started in 2009 here in Chapel Hill and Carrboro. And all of the support for this program has come from private individual donations. And those donations go 100% into the scholarships for the seniors who we choose to recognize each year. Prior to this year, 26 scholarships had been given out. And this year, we're blessed to be able to name 4 more recipients of the Peacemaking Scholarship. So thank you all for your contributions and your support to the program. And let's hear now from these recipients for this year.
Hi, I'm Rebekah. I started my, school journey in Sycamore Elementary in Tennessee, and then we moved to North Carolina, and I started elementary school at Morris Grove Elementary School, then went to McDougall Middle School, and now I'm at Chapel Hill High School. Probably the most impactful, movement I've been a part of is the inclusion movement for students with disabilities and just the community of people who have special needs. So I have been able to be involved with Special Olympics as a volunteer coach and also helping plan some activities. And then I was able to bring that into my school as a club and turn Chapel Hill High School into a Unified Champions school, which is basically just having a whole school involved in the movement through rallies and unified sports to kind of bridge the gap between all students. Another, avenue that I'm very involved in is with my church. I go to St. Thomas More Catholic Church, and I'm a member of the Teen Youth Council there, and I'm the vice president. And we help plan activities for the youth group there and just make sure everyone's connected and involved. We plan a lot of different retreats where we can go to the beach and have both kind of social time, but also time to be in a community of those who share our faith. And we also go on different mission trips and all of that. So that's been a pretty important role that I've taken in high school to be a leader in that community of faith.
I'm Julian Taylor. I'm a senior at Hill-Carrboro this year. I'll be going to UNC next year. I did grades K through 6 in New York City at the Cathedral School of St. John the Divine. I went to middle school at Berreth Middle School, and now I'm at Hill-Carrboro, and I'm honored to be a recipient of the Peacemaking Award. My foremost peacemaking activity would be being a co-founder and president of the Black and Brown Student Coalition at Hill-Carrboro High School. And so we've done a lot this year, even in a virtual format, but I think our most impactful project has been our Anonymous Student Voice podcast, where students can answer questions anonymously and speak directly to their teachers who listen to the recordings and faculty meetings. And it's all about teachers learning about how they can better support their students. And we've had a lot of growth through the podcast, teachers sort of learning on how they can reflect on their role. And then these podcasts have even spread to UNC, where professors are using them in the School of Education. Friends and I have noticed that Hill-Carrboro High School and other schools have a lot of discussion-based groups where students can discuss with each other about their experiences. And that's really important, but something that we saw was lacking was communication between students and teachers. And so that's why we created our group.
My name is Kate Berreth, and I'm a senior at Chapel Hill High School. I've been schooled in Chapel Hill, Hill-Carrboro for my entire elementary through high school experience. I started at Hill-Carrboro Elementary in the dual language program, and I continued in the dual language program through middle school at McDougall Middle School before moving to Chapel Hill High School, where I've been here for all 4 years, and I'm going to be an incoming freshman at the University of Pennsylvania. Number of my activities are sort of related to politics and like how policy can help in peacekeeping. One of my most exciting things I've been working on recently is I volunteer as a teen attorney with Volunteers for Youth, which is a local nonprofit, and in a program called the Teen Corps program, in which I represent and defend juveniles in juvenile misdemeanor sentencing hearings, and it focuses a lot on restorative justice, in which the in which these students who have committed these misdemeanors tend to be sentenced with volunteer hours instead of more traditional forms like something going on their permanent record. So and the jury, as well as all the attorneys, are all teenagers, so it's a much more sort of constructive environment. So that's sort of been a really important aspect of my peacekeeping. I also am a part of my ethics bowl club at my high school, which I've been part of for all 4 years. And that's been a really great experience in learning about how to have sort of constructive dialogue. And that sort of sparked a lot of my interest in peacekeeping. I also am interested in sort of nonprofit work and writing work. So I am the content director at FUIC, which is the Foreign Policy Youth Collaborative, which writes and publishes teen perspectives on foreign policy issues. And I've been part of that for about a year, and that's been really, really cool and really interesting, and just seeing how journalism plays a part in raising awareness and in peacekeeping. And then I also founded an organization called The Little Journalist, which works to publish understandable and comprehensive news for elementary age children in both English and Spanish. So that's sort of some of the things I've been working on recently.
Hi, my name is Abby Boyer, and I have lived in Chapel Hill my entire life. I started out at Morris Grove Elementary School, actually the first year they opened. So I was their first kindergarten class, and then I graduated from Morris Grove, went on to Smith Middle School, where I spent 3 years there. And then now I'm at Chapel High School, and I've spent all my 4 years in high school there. And then next fall, I'll be attending UNC-Chapel Hill, so pretty close to home. My main thing was My Vote Project. So I'm a volunteer with My Vote Project, which was a nonprofit organization that is aimed to educate voters, help them access the polls. And my role with them was to help research candidates and their platforms in order to be published onto their website. And next, I would say, is that I was a member of my school's National Spanish Honor Society in high school. So our goal was to raise money for renovations at our sister school in Nicaragua. And then next, I work at Clothes Mentor, which is a local consignment resale clothing store here in Chapel Hill. And our goal pretty much is to promote sustainability, recycling. We buy in used clothes from the community, and then we sell those used clothes back to anyone else in the community. And then lastly, I guess, is I've just participated in a lot of miscellaneous volunteer projects, from harvesting gardens, doing trash pickups, restoring trails, getting them ready for their opening, just working outside of my community in general.
And which of all of that do you think has had the most impact?
I think personally, the thing that had the largest impact was Teen Court, just because, in my opinion, it really shaped sort of my understanding of what I want to do in the future. I think it really inspired me to want to pursue law when I'm a little bit older. And personally, I just think it's been a really great learning experience as far as like how I can use the things I've learned like within school as well as in other clubs like Mock Trial, like Ethics Bowl, in sort of helping the community.
For me, I feel like my work with My Vote Project has had the greatest impact. I think part of the reason for this is just because I know that what I'm doing is going directly into, like, people in my community are reading the stuff I'm writing. So for example, I'm researching candidates, I'm researching their biographies, their platforms, I'm typing up a summary about this, and it basically is published word for word onto their website. And then what we do is we like print this out, print the website out, put like a QR code up, and this goes into, malls, into grocery stores. So I feel like it's pretty impactful knowing that the people are just reading exactly what I'm writing, and I'm helping to educate voters, helping to encourage them to vote. And then another thing My Vote Project has done is we've done a lot of like voter outreach. So I've participated in a lot of phone banking, things like that. I've like personally called people to help them know where their local polling place is and help encourage them to get out there to vote. So I feel like that's pretty impactful, knowing that I'm actually making a difference and like getting people out there to have their voices heard.
Go on and elaborate how your fellow students responded to these activities.
So it has been great, the response from other students who want to join the club. I think the amount of joy that we get to see. We have weekly meetings that have continued even in the virtual setting, and the ability for everyone to get together and just have a really good time. We'll have game days and where we'll play like different board games or other games such as Simon Says, and then we'll also have days where we can go to the gym, which we did previous to COVID. And it's just this whole community of people just having fun with one another, and has been really great. So.
But in terms of like students responding to my activities, I feel like the one they would know the most about probably is my work with Spanish Honor Society, just because that was my main like school focused activity. For that, we did a lot of fundraisers. For example, I think my sophomore year, we did like a taco bar at our biggest like rivalry basketball game. So I think people really like that we have like fun, interactive things like that they're able to donate to and participate in. And that year we were raising money to have an additional bathroom added to the school in Nicaragua, and that was successful. So that was pretty exciting.
And Julian, your anonymous, tell us again, anonymous recordings?
Anonymous student podcast.
And did a lot of students participate in that?
We had a great student response. We had students talking from all 3 high schools in Chapel Hill, and we had teachers listening all around the district. We even had teachers in Durham listening. And so our teacher response was even more important than the student response. And I saw this year that teachers were sort of expanding their role as an educator and sort of teaching subjects that maybe weren't involved in their curriculum, just to make their students more well-rounded, especially as it relates to social justice. I think as a district that has one of the largest achievement gaps in the state, that's something that a lot of students of color see that white students don't, which is why we created the podcast, which is a platform only for students of color to speak with their teachers who feel like they're not represented in bodies like student government, or even if you go to an athletic event, our student body at the game is mostly white. The response from teachers has been great. I mean, our first podcast was about how teachers can support students in an online format. And I saw a lot of teachers push back their due dates on projects to give students more time, or didn't give late grades so that students who had other obligations like work could succeed in their classes. Just like to say that I've seen a lot of other great student leaders in the district, and I'm really excited about where the district is heading in terms of student projects and student leaderships. And it's also something that the community should definitely be involved with. So I guess if you'd like to listen to our podcast, that's at soundcloud.com/CHSBBSC. And then we also have an article in Education Week that sort of outlines our role in the district. And that would be great to read if you're a community member too.
Back to you, Kate. The teen court or the youth court that you were involved in, are others at Chapel Hill High School engaged in that activity?
Yeah, so it is sort of more of a local thing. It's based in Orange County, just based on how like the courts in North Carolina are divided. A lot of other districts have similar things. As far as whether there's other people, it's not directly sponsored by Chapel Hill, like I was talking about with my vote. However, I do know someone on my mock trial team is also a member, and I think that's pretty much it. So it's definitely, we don't have a ton of attorneys. However, there are definitely like local schools that have people who volunteer, but it's me and then someone else from my mock trial team, and that's pretty much it.
What would you say was the most significant thing you learned from these activities? You did already talk about somewhat shaping your thoughts about the future. Is there any other aspect of anything that you learned that surprised you or you didn't expect?
Yeah, so I think that sort of going into when I was younger in high school and looking into politics, I think I sort of saw politics as more as like whoever can like win an argument, like quote unquote like wins politics. And I think through teen court as well as through my like ethics bowl, I really sort of learned that like the fun of politics as well as just the importance of these sort of debates and things like that. And even like in court is like, while there may truly be no correct answer, like getting context as far as what other people think, like in teen court, the defendant, everyone's going to have a different opinion as far as exactly how bad the crime that the person committed might be, as far as, and every member on the jury is going to have a different understanding of that based on how they were raised and sort of the context of their understanding of the court. And the same thing goes for ethics bowl. No one's going to have the same opinion surrounding the ethics of a certain act. And I think what I've really learned and what's been super surprising is just how important, how special that is in politics, is in disagreement, and is in sort of that like debate is I think the most important thing in my eyes is sort of working to understand people rather than necessarily get your point across. And so I think that's what I've really learned is the value of like a constructive discussion, and that really winning is not the end goal in politics or sort of in life in general.
I guess kind of on a simpler note, in terms of from my job, close mentor working there was my first real job. So from that, I definitely learned a lot of like basic skills, how to interact with customers, how to manage my time, just basic things like that. It definitely taught me how to build my work ethic, which is very important. But then in terms of like my volunteer efforts, I think that the biggest thing I learned from that was it just really made me aware of like the people in need in my community. And I think that like it really helped me to discover like what exactly I could do to help. Whether that was calling someone to tell them like where they could go to vote, or just like helping them harvest their garden or something. Like it helped me discover what I was good at and in what ways I could apply that to helping people in my community.
To students and teachers that people are willing to listen. So if you put something together and you present it to them in a format that'll help them grow, they'll be eager to listen to you.
And I really learned the importance of kind of being a catalyst for a movement a lot bigger than yourself. The ability to bring unified sports and just the whole inclusion movement to Chapel Hill, and then having other people kind of want to be a part of that and bring their own ideas has kind of shown the power of just, if you give people a starting point, they'll want to take it to incredible places. So I think that's what showed me to be a leader is kind of inspire those around you to then take their own little leadership positions and help their community in their own way.
Digging a little deeper into high school, your high school experience, which class or classes did you enjoy the most and why?
Yeah, I'd say the class, or I guess classes I should say I enjoyed the most was probably my biomed pathway. So this was basically 4 years. I took a class each year in it that was focused on biomedical sciences. And I really enjoyed this class because, or these classes, because they're pretty small in size. So we were really able to work one-on-one with each other, one-on-one with the teacher. It allowed us for a lot of times to do like labs and hands-on activities, things like that were just much more interactive. Some of the things we did, we learned about like medical ethics, which I found really interesting. We got to design our own like biomedical innovation. And then actually the first year of that course is designed as like a mystery to uncover the diagnosis of a patient. So I think that's something that's just really interesting. And that's definitely those classes are definitely what got me into science and medicine, just because of how interactive they were and how much I could really learn in like a fun, engaging way.
The first classes that sort of stand out are just my Spanish experience in my entire schooling, as well as more specifically the past 2 years, especially. I took Spanish language and culture last year, and I'm taking Spanish literature this year. And I just really have found like a real home in this Spanish department at Chapel Hill, and I've absolutely loved it. I've had some really incredible teachers that have emphasized not only just like the Spanish language, but also the like importance of learning about culture and the context. And I think that that's been really, really interesting. Additionally, I think my other class that's been really great is just my comparative government class. I took that last year. And in the context of, a global pandemic and other really important global issues, it was super interesting learning about how to look at government on a more global scale. And I remember my teacher he was an incredible guy, and he used to just spend the first 15 minutes of class just talking about the news that day. And I think it really sort of emphasized the importance of news and learning about politics. And it really got me starting to read the news more, reading new news sources. And so those are the main sort of 3 classes have been, I think, the most impactful.
I most definitely enjoyed global systems and issues and global cultures and minorities. The format of the classes were great because they allowed me to conduct my own interviews with experts. So each project I would have to interview at least 3 people and sort of write a paper based on my interviews, which is a really great format for me to learn how to talk to people that I don't know and talk to people who are higher than me and know more than me. And then the classes also included a lot of great trips like to Illinois, Alabama, and New York.
My favorite classes have been, we have different kind of clusters within this, I guess, program called Project Lead the Way. And I've been able to take biomedical classes, going from introduction to biomedical sciences to medical interventions. And all of those classes have kind of given me an insight into anatomy and the beginnings of healthcare, which is a profession I'm very interested in going into that field. So acting as an introduction to look into how to provide services to others in a more professional setting was very insightful and gave a lot of experience to build the necessary skills in that field.
Where are you going to college, and what do you want to study there?
I will be attending UNC-Chapel Hill in the fall, and the current plan is to double major in biology and psychology with a minor in Spanish, but all of it's working towards being able to get into grad school for occupational therapy. So to make sure I get all the prerequisites and experience for that.
So I'm going to the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. My intended major is called Philosophy, Politics, and Economics. And I'm sort of debating a minor, but I'm interested in possibly continuing in Spanish. They also have a really interesting bioethics minor, which is cool. So I'm still kind of debating the minor, but I definitely want a minor in something. But I'm thinking I'll stick with the PPE major.
I'm headed to UNC-Chapel Hill next year, so once again, pretty close to home, but I'm excited for that. And there I'll be probably studying either biology or chemistry, and then I'd like to get a minor in Spanish. UNC has kind of a cool thing where their language minors, or at least Spanish, I know you can do in a specific profession. So I'm thinking to get a Spanish minor in the medicine profession. So I'll get to learn more medicine specific Spanish, basically, which I think is interesting. But then I also hope to continue to take classes about political science, public policy, because I've always been really interested in that stuff. And I really enjoyed my classes in high school about that. So even though I don't necessarily want to major in those things, I am really excited to continue taking classes about those, especially at UNC.
I'll also be at UNC-Chapel Hill, and I'm undecided as to what I want to study. But I think my role on the Board of Transportation has given me an interest in urban planning, so that might be something I'm interested in studying at UNC.
Tell us more about that. What do you mean your role on the Board of Transportation?
So as a member of the Chapel Hill Youth Council, I'm a liaison to the Chapel Hill Board of Transportation and Connectivity, and it's an advisory board for town council. And so we review projects and as they relate to transportation. I think what I find most interesting is the struggle to grow as a city and modernize, but also be healthy and keep your environment healthy. And I think that's where a lot of the projects that come to us get stopped because either they increase traffic, which is not good for the environment, or otherwise. But I think that's definitely the most interesting intersection, which is between the environment and growth.
And I also would like to extend congratulations to you, Julian, for, in addition to this scholarship, being named as a Moorhead Kane Scholar for the coming years at UNC-Chapel Hill. So congratulations to you on that as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Continue elaborating a bit for us about how all this may tie into your future career goals or thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm once again pretty interested in a broad variety of things, but I'm really interested in medicine. I'm really interested in health and science. So I think as a career, I definitely like to kind of intertwine those things. That would be ideal. But I do also think it'd be interesting to kind of explore the public policy side of things, maybe go into career in public health or something like that. And I also really like researching, doing works in like labs and stuff. So maybe something to do with that. We'll see. But no matter what field I go into, I definitely want to do something where I work directly with people, like where I interact directly with them, whether that's being a doctor and working directly with patients or doing something more on the public policy side, working directly with people to help, provide them access to healthcare, something like that.
I'm really interested in going to law school, and I want to become a lawyer. As far as exactly sort of what type of, I mainly want to become a lawyer, just not only because I think it's sort of in my wheelhouse. I like reading a lot, I like writing a lot, but also just because I've worked hard to sort of gain some experience as far as what that might be like. And that's something I've absolutely loved, what I've been working on. And so I definitely want to continue that. And I think law school is a great opportunity, just to make a little bit more use of that philosophy degree. As far as once I become an attorney, I don't exactly know what I want to practice in quite yet. I've definitely hopped around. I've been thinking, I'd love to do advocacy work, whether that be public defense or working with nonprofits or other public interest stuff like the ACLU and stuff like that. That's definitely of interest to me. Although I'd also be open to sort of the less political side of things. My mom works as a nurse midwife at UNC, and she does a lot of work sort of with like cases and giving her personal opinion on that, and that's been super interesting for me to hear about. So I'd be super into maybe doing some sort of medical malpractice or representing hospitals, stuff like that. But I'm really sort of open to anything. I do know, like similar to Abby, that working like with people is something that's very important to me. So we'll just have to see exactly how that pans out.
Very undecided as what I want to do for a career, but I think the most important thing to me is I can have a career where I get to meet new people.
I'm interested in becoming an occupational therapist, and there's a wide range of people I can work with. Occupational therapists work from with babies until the day people die. So I'm still trying to narrow down specifically who I want to work with, but just any opportunity in a hospital or in a school setting or even like in a clinical base, just to be able to provide that service to people and help them like thrive in their lives instead of just survive.
What has receiving this scholarship meant to you?
I'm really honored to be a recipient, and it means a lot to be recognized by the broader community and not just by the district or by the school. So I'm really thankful, and I'm thankful to everyone who is a donor and everyone who made this possible.
To echo the gratitude and the, I guess, ability that this scholarship has given me to be able to truly focus on what I want to do and kind of, I guess, give some leeway to really pay attention to more volunteer opportunities or like focus on academics.
It's meant like a ton. Not only has it been just great to sort of feel a little bit validated as far as my work I've done with my community. That's been really nice. And a lot of people around me who've heard of this scholarship have like congratulated me and think that it's really, really exciting. It's just, in my opinion, an incredibly cool scholarship. And it's been such a like exciting experience to be part of it. So that's part of it. But as far as like more just financial side of things, going to sort of a private school out of state is definitely a little bit more financially taxing on my family. And I know that Penn is like the right school for me, and it's definitely made it a little bit more feasible, lifted some of that weight off of my parents' shoulders. So that's sort of, it's going to be helpful. But I think it's been great it's been a good transition between sort of helping my community as well as like helping me transition into a new community. So I really like sort of the way it's like helped me bridge those gaps. Yeah.
It meant a lot to me that I was able to find this local scholarship that was honestly just pretty cool. Like, I really liked that I was able to find something that was specifically applicable to me. I did a lot of research on different scholarships out there. And obviously there are so many, on sports and GPA and random hobbies and stuff. But it was really nice to be able to find a local scholarship that was unique in that it focused more on, volunteer work, social justice, environmental activism, stuff like that, it was actually applicable to me. So I really appreciated that. And I did like that it was something local. I thought that was fun. But then on the financial side of things, yeah, I am really grateful to have been awarded this. Money is going straight to college. So obviously anything helps because college can be pretty expensive, like Kate was saying. So I'm very grateful for that.
Those of us who have been involved in this program over the years are every year much impressed by the experiences and the skills and the dedication and the passion that you all bring to the things you're involved in and to the things that you do to make life better at your schools and in the community. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your role too.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you again to everyone who has helped put this together, and thank you for putting this together, and thank you to everyone who's helped make this scholarship possible.
Yeah, I just like to mirror that. It's been an incredible experience, not only applying, but in communicating with you and other people since then. I love being a part of this, and it's been fantastic.